on. It wasn't you this time.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the March 23rd, 2026 City Council meeting. Madam Clerk, when you are ready, would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Melly Garthwaite,
Melly Garthwaite, Council at Large, present.
Councilman Peter Rivera,
Councilman Peter Rivera, at large, present.
Councilman Sean Ronan,
Here.
Councilwoman Ann Heffernan,
Present.
Councilwoman Nancy Tagliatella,
Councilwoman Nancy Tagliatella, present.
Councilwoman Sarah Akbarali is absent. Councilman Gary Donovan,
Councilman Gary Donovan, 4th District, present.
Councilman Edward McMillan,
Councilman Edward McMillan, 5th District, present.
Councilwoman Dawn Callahan is absent. Councilwoman Catherine Tucker is absent. Councilman David Beaton,
Councilman David Beaton, 9th District, president.
Councilman Ronald Quagliani,
Ron Quagliani, 10th District, present.
and Chairman Christopher Vargo.
Chairman Christopher Vargo, 8th District present.
And we do have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Stacy. At this time, I'm going to ask everybody to join us in a moment of silence for the passing of two very important Westies. Former Chief Rich Massaro from the Allentown Fire Department and Millicent Huff, who was a former 5th District Councilwoman, both passed away recently. So please bow your heads. Thank you. Time is 7:02, and we will enter public session. Would anyone from the public like to address the City Council? For a second time, would anyone from the public like to address the City Council? Third and final time, would anyone from the public like to address the City Council? Seeing none, public session is closed. Time is 7:03. May I have a motion to approve the journal of the regular meeting of March 9, 2026? I have a motion from Councilman Beaton, second from Councilman Quagliani. Any discussion or corrections? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And at this time, I'm going to ask the clerk to distribute the communications. In Councilwoman Akbarali's absence, I'm appointing Councilman Quagliani as acting chair of finance.
We have before us Communication A from the tax collector regarding a refund of overpayments for March 2026, which will be filed with tonight's minutes. Communication B from the tax collector regarding a refund of overpayments for also March 2026, which will be filed with tonight's minutes. Communication C from Mayor Dorinda Borer requesting consideration and action regarding a waiver of fees for the Special Olympics bocce tournament scheduled for December 13th, 2026, being assigned to the Finance Committee. Chairman Quagliani. Communication D from Mayor Dorinda Borer requesting consideration and action regarding a waiver of fees for the Cystic Fibrosis Walkathon scheduled for May 9th, 2026, being assigned to the Finance Committee. Chairman Quagliani. And Communication E from Mayor Dorinda Borer requesting consideration and action regarding the reallocation of excess Urban Act grant funds from DEEP to construct an emergency outpost near the Cove River Bridge, being assigned to the Finance Committee. Chairman Quagliani. And that concludes our communications for this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Stacy. Time is 7:04, and we will recess into committee meetings. First up is the Public Safety Committee, Chairman Beaton.
Thank you, Chairman Vargo. The time now is 7:04. The Committee on Public Safety is now in session. Committee members present is Councilman Donovan, Councilwoman Heffernan, Councilman Ronan, Councilwoman Garthwaite, and myself as chair. Tonight we have a presentation on citywide security infrastructure strengthening by Director of Emergency Operations, Rick Fontana. Mr. Fontana?
Good evening. Members of the City Council, Mr. Chairman, Mayor Borer. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight for a few minutes. I really wanted to spend a few minutes going over some of the things that we have been working on since we've gotten here, and I think an update is appropriate. We have some new council members, and if you just give me a minute to. Again, I think I have a little PowerPoint presentation. I don't want to take a lot of time, but I do think that these are very important to make the council aware of. As you know, one of the first goals of the administration was to raise the bar in community risk reduction and also quality of life transformation in West Haven. We have always wanted to make life better, and I can tell you that we have began with a number of safety initiatives that we literally started on day one. We talked a little bit before day one of the administration, but we have worked hard on behalf of the residents to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to ensure a safe environment. If you look at the needle here, the needle will show you that we're getting close to the end, right? We look at we're about 85%. We've got a little bit more work to do because everything is never complete, because as you think that you're getting complete, something else comes to the forefront. Kind of we placed a lot of priorities at the top of our list, and we determined we needed to forge a synergy here and have a lot of innovation, collaboration, working together as a team. And I can only tell you that the leadership of Mayor Bora has been instrumental. She doesn't really take no for an answer, and is always, as we say, has her foot on the gas pedal. I like that because I'm kind of the same way, as well as our team is. We've had a great team of people that were working with us, whether it's the fire department, police department, 911, public works, the EOC, Parks Department, schools, city council, residents, community groups, and others. A lot of this had to come into it with an open mind because, as you know, we're a distressed municipality, always looking for funding. A lot of the initiatives that we've been working on clearly are not from residents and taxpayer funds, but a lot of this is grant funded. Not only is it grant funded, but we do have the opioid settlement funding that we've been utilizing in harm reduction throughout the city as well. Quality of life for our residents was identified as probably one of the more important things that we could do. Public safety becomes one of them, but really we wanted to work to kind of collaborate and transform the quality of life. People, when no matter where you are in all corners of the city, people want to see a better quality of life. We want to see things that are cleaner. We want to see things that are safer, and we want to keep our taxes lower. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about tonight is part of a grant process. Some of the remaining funds that we've had in different grants, as well as the opioid settlement fund, which I just mentioned. I want to talk about cameras first. And I'm sorry the numbers down there are a little bit small, but I can tell you that we have when we first got here, there were very few cameras here, none in the streets. We wanted to make it a safer community, and we know that cameras do one important thing. They change behavior. And when people know that they're being watched, they do things that maybe are part of the law. But if something happens and we need to go back to them, it is a great way to find out what may have happened 24, 48, 72 hours prior, and we use them during emergency situations. So they are in real life. I could tell you that right now we have just about 120 cameras with about 300 different views. So some of the cameras have 4 views, some of them have 1 view, some of them are pan, tilt, zoom, so we can move them around in different directions. But I can tell you that we have a lot of corners of the city covered. Every parking lot, that's the city parking lot from Campbell Avenue, from Captain Thomas up Campbell to Elm Street. They're pretty well covered. They have proven to be very successful. Not only do we have them in our parking lots, but we have them in our City Hall parking lot as well. And we've also, Curtis Avenue, one of our parking lots, Curtis Place, one of the parking lots that has a little, it almost looks like a little picnic area behind the harps. We actually put some cameras in there because we had a lot of dumping going on, and I could tell you, it stopped dumping. So again, no one wants to see trash throughout the city, so we've kind of focused a lot of making sure that people aren't dumping, and I'll get to that a little bit more information as we move on. But Morris Park, all of our parks, so it's Morris Park, Painter Park, the West Haven Green. We also have cameras that will be installed. It's one of our last ones in this phase that will be at the Nike site, also at Veterans Field. We've got cameras that cover the beach, and they cover the beach from the Sandy Playground all the way to the boat ramp. We have very good views of the boat ramp of New Haven Harbor. They go all the way down to the bird sanctuary and all across to the break walls. We've used them in emergencies where they have gotten emergency response personnel to an individual more quickly than they would have by just someone on a telephone. And again, these we're going to continue the work on these cameras, but you'll see them all over the place. You'll now see signs coming up. We have surveillance cameras in use, big blue signs, 2 feet by 3 feet. We want people to know that there are cameras out there. One of the first things we looked at was school camera views. And when I literally, in our first meeting when we talked about cameras, it was amazing that we have a brand new high school with literally about 127 cameras, but they weren't able to be viewed anywhere but in the high school. We were told, and I know the mayor was really instrumental in making say, we need to see these in the 911 center. We cannot just rely on them being in the school. God forbid something happens. You're never going to be in a security office looking at cameras. You've got to be in an area that may be remote. All of our cameras we have on cell phones as well. But what you can see up here, I just took a snapshot of the C wing of the West Haven High School. We do have 127 cameras in the high school. We also have about 50 in Washington that are all viewable in the 911 center. One of the things that we don't have is some of the older camera systems in some of the other schools are not kind of state of the art, so they're more analog and not digital, so we can only see them in the different schools and the Board of Ed as well. I could tell you that we're working on a grant. We've been told that the grant has been approved. We're waiting for it to be funded. As recent as 2 weeks ago from Senator Murphy's office, we are on the front burner, hopefully ready to seal the deal. I will tell you, the mayor has been banging on every door, calling every person to say, we need this. We identified our schools as being an area of weakness in our SWOT analysis. That's about $2.1 million. That will be all new school cameras, as well as upgrading the large room in the Emergency Operations Center. That would be, we'd integrate the cameras there into the 911 center as well. But this is all part of an Emergency Operations Center grant. So we're working really hard to make sure that we can bring that to the taxpayers of the city of West Haven. Go ahead. Sure.
On the last screen, on the last slide.
Yeah.
LPR. What does that mean? The camera LPR.
Oh, LPR, license plate readers.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, so we do have a number of license plate readers that are, we have 22 of those license plate readers. Those are cameras that are sensitive to law enforcement. We don't have access to those. The police department does. But we did put a couple of license plate readers into operation literally last week. I'll cover that, but they do work very well. We did have an individual who decided that they were going to rip up Painter Park Noyes Field on Thursday. I could tell you right now, we got a good view of the vehicle. We We did not get a good snapshot of the license plate, but that individual, two individuals, young males in a white vehicle, did come out of Painter Park. And once they come out onto Kelsey Avenue, once they either get to Wagner or to Captain Thomas, we have license plate readers there. We're working on coming up with those. And if we miss it there, we'll catch it on another street. But we know the truck. We will find those people that think it's okay to come in and wreck our fields. Citywide cameras. We actually had, we kept going phase one. So phase one was actually 33 cameras that we put in with emergency call boxes that also have cameras along the boardwalk from the Sandy Playground down to down the West Walk. We actually put an additional camera in that would cover from the corner of Washington and Beach all the way down to the turn by the bird sanctuary. Goes past Riva, and it does get somewhat into the walkway. The problem with it is you have to deal with trees, and when there's tree coverage, you kind of lose some of the images. So those are all up and running. We then went to phase two, 22 law enforcement cameras, and this was all part of ARPA funding, and those are all up and running. They're at strategic locations. The good thing is that we deal with them. They're on the town lines and they're throughout the city. But Orange has the same thing, Milford has the same thing, New Haven has the same thing. So we all work together collaboratively with law enforcement. God forbid there is an incident, and we need to. They do solve crime more than you would ever believe. Phase three was 46 additional cameras, and those are all of the Municipal Avenue, Campbell Avenue parking lots, interior and exterior of City Hall. We have it on the green, on the gazebo. Unfortunately, we didn't have it there when we put a brand new AED in there, and 3 weeks later it was stolen. But we do have we put a new one back in there. The animal shelter. Public Works, Painter Park, Morris Park. We also have two great cameras at Dawson Avenue Beach and also at South Street Beach. And it covers all the way down Ocean Avenue to South Street and then all the way to the turn on Prospect. We can't make the turn yet, but we're hoping some additional funding we can kind of expand out a little further. Phase four. These are all of the City Hall cameras. These have all been replaced with state-of-the-art digital cameras. There are 17 cameras throughout City Hall. This was identified as a safety concern with the safety committee for City Hall. We work really closely. There's nothing worse than if you don't have a government building that's secure, and especially when you have employees that are in here, visitors that are in here. We need to do a better job securing it. We've done that. We've worked really closely with that committee. With the mayor's office, with the police department, and making sure that we have cameras that are fully covering every corner of the building. Phase five, I know we kept going phase one, phase two, phase three, phase four. Now we're at phase five, and it's just ongoing. We're going to be putting additional cameras out there. There is a cost to cameras. You have to get them into the network, and if they're not networked, we go LTE, just like you have a cell card. And they do work very well. And just to give you a sense, each of those cameras is about $20 a month. So it is not a large sum of money to run these cameras. Most of the cameras that aren't on LTE are in the network, so there is no ongoing cost. And there's very little financial impact to the city on these cameras. They are good for 7 to 10 years. We've seen life expectancy past the 10 years. They're state-of-the-art Axis cameras, and they're working off of the Milestone software platform. And if you got a question, anyone has a question, and I didn't cover something clearly, don't be afraid to ask.
Hey, Rick, just a quick question on the storage of the video. Is that included in the $20 a month?
The storage actually. Did someone have you ask that question, Mr. Councilman? That's a perfect question. Was that a loaded question? That's a good one.
It's part of my background.
Yeah. So just so you know, we actually have a server here. So all of our storage is here at City Hall. We do have another server that handles the beach cameras, but so there is no cloud storage fees. We have them here in City Hall, and everything is being stored for a 30-day period. Okay. Yes, sir. Yeah.
That Phase 5, those cameras, are those the ones going to be put by the schools? Or is that?
No.
That's separate
That's
altogether?
the Phase 5 component is additional cameras that are part of this system, not the school system.
Okay, thank you.
If you could take a look here, this is the police department and 911 center. When I came in, we had 4 screens. We now have 11 screens in the 911 center, and we are viewing cameras from schools, from the boat ramp, from New Haven Harbor to the beaches, to the Sandy Playground, to the schools, to the police department, to City Hall. We can look at any cameras pretty much citywide, and believe it or not, the dispatchers do use them. The camera that's up every day is the West Haven High School front door. That's up for a reason, and they can keep an eye on that front door daily. And they work really closely with security, closely with the SROs. But again, these are really good, very clear images. And if something does happen, we can remote into a screen not only from the 911 center, but some of the phones that are located through some of our senior leadership. Yes, ma'am.
When the cameras, are they motion activated? Like
They are.
Well, I was going to say, so one of the screens will light up. If it goes dormant, I'm assuming the screen will.
The screen, if
Will go home or whatever they say.
it's literally the screen will stay the same until there's some sort of movement. But again, during playback, if they were all motion all the time, it'd be very difficult to get 30 days out of the number of cameras that we have. So it's only during movement. Yes, motion.
Does it have an alarm for people to, if
It-
you had a telemonitor that was, someone's heart rate went up to 145?
Yeah. So the analytics do not show if there's movement, they light up because there's just so many cameras and there's so much movement.
All right. I was just wondering if there's no consistent monitoring of those cameras then.
So again, it's someone who decides they want to look at a particular camera, and
Yeah.
most of it's for playback unless we get a 911 call, and then we can go to that screen immediately.
And in that $20 lease fee, I'm not sure exactly what it is.
It's just the think about it. We use T-Mobile,
Yeah,
so it's
okay.
an LTE card. It's $20 a month per
line.
unit. Yeah.
Does that include maintenance? Like if something broke, would they fix it with that $20?
No,
No.
I got to be honest with you.
They don't
these-
break very often.
These cameras
probably.
don't break very often.
Yeah.
It's more about cleaning the lenses. We go out and clean the lenses once a year, but we build that into a maintenance.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Did we purchase those cameras outright, or are we renting them?
No, we purchased. This system is purchased through the city. This was a lot of it was ARPA funding and some of it grant funding as well. But yes, they are all purchased and owned by the city.
I assume it's more cost effective to store all the footage locally on local servers than
It
up in the cloud.
it much definitely is. Yes.
But that also means that redundancies and backups are on us. Are you comfortable with the measures that we've taken?
Yes.
Thank you.
This is one of the initiatives that we took, as you know, in City Hall. We've had the same locks on the exterior doors for years. Probably a lot of people with keys. We had to figure that out, but we initially went to the first 3 doors: Campbell Avenue, the side entrance where everyone comes in, and also on Main Street, to identify these to be card readers. And we purchased a card and identification machine. We gave all of our employees access at different times, depending on who you are. If you're a department head, you get 24/7. If you're an employee, you actually get from 7:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. I know the council members have some additional time as well to, I believe, 11:30 or midnight, and coming in just like they were a regular employee. So there is some extra time if you're here at a meeting and needed to walk out or so on, and there wasn't a security guard there. Whenever there's a security guard, there is no. If there's a security guard there, they let actually keep the door open, so you won't have to use your card in and out. But if there is no security guard, you will have to use your card in and out. We expanded the system. We went from the first 3 doors, then we went to 5 doors. We wanted to secure the stairwells. Now we're at 29. So we've basically just about every office in City Hall. We actually have identified about 5 others that we will be doing card readers on. And this will continue to grow as well. As an example, I don't have in here Malloy School. We're literally just put all new cameras at Malloy and had the card reading system there. And the good thing is, what we wanted to do here is we not only do city employees have access to go into City Hall, but the police and fire department have access to go into City Hall. They have access to go into all the schools. They have access to go into Notre Dame. They have access to go into the community house, and because we have a similar system that all operate on the same HID system. But of course, if you're not given access, it's really for the emergency responders to have access into all of those locations. Lock cops. So we purchased 3 lock cops. This was something that an initiative that we took on to make sure that people were dumping, and we had a huge amount of dumping on Spring Street and on Marginal Drive. I can tell you right now, these have really. We had the first one in place for a week. We had a person go and dump. We actually had the license plate perfectly. Police department reached out to that individual. They went and cleaned it, and then they got a $570 fine on top of it. So we are watching, and we're watching for a reason, because people don't need other people's trash. These work really well. We've been very successful. They also have where it says no dumping, subject to fines or arrest. We also have speed cameras in there too. So we can put a speed up there, and literally it'll tell you if you're driving up Kelsey, you can see the speed that you're going. These do the same thing. So we wanted them to be a dual purpose. So if we needed them for an issue along the beach or along a roadway, we can do that and deploy them there. They're primarily used along the beach. That's what we use them for primarily, but we do have some extra spots that we can put them in. This is brand new. These are going into operation any day. Marginal Drive and Spring Street. This is the first time we've employed solar systems. So these are they have 2 bidirectional cameras with license plate reader capability. So we now have these on Marginal Drive and Spring Street. I could tell you, anyone who lives down in the Allentown section knows that we have effectively stopped dumping. You dump there, you're getting arrested, and you're getting fined. So it has made a big difference. I could tell you the city of New Haven came to us and said, "What did you do so differently with those cameras?" And we told them, it cost a few bucks to buy them, but they make a difference.
Rich, excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. How easy is it to damage that? Like, can somebody? It looks low to the ground. Is it high enough where someone?
Yeah, anybody can damage it, but guess what? We got a picture of it. Right. So if you come up to it and you damage it, it's. Most people aren't damaging these cameras. Most people are saying, "Oh, I'm not going to put up with it. Not going to get caught." Yep, and you'd have to come up from behind it because we're going to see who it is. We've actually even purchased solar-powered event sign. You see these on the state highways. We use them for our fireworks now. This was one of the things that we had funded. Because when we're doing events, we need to notify our people, and they work. The Emergency Operations Center. As you know, when we got here, there was really no Emergency Operations Center. It was old. It was antiquated. It was literally not a place where you can spend time. We put some funding into it from the state through the Department of Emergency Management and Homeland Security funds. We actually redid the entire center, and I could tell you they work. Very evidenced by the past couple of major snowstorms we had. We were able to have a unified command in there. It needs to be comfortable. There's a new kitchen in there, and if you don't think we cook, we do. We cook. And because you can't have people in there hungry, and if they're hungry, they're not going to come. If you feed them, they're going to come.
Let's just clarify when you say we cook. It's Rick that cooks.
Yeah. And I did have a little bit of help. I've had good training in the fire service, that's for sure. But it does make a difference and we do some good food there too. And this was pretty much with grant funding, and I will tell you that with the new grant funds that we will hopefully be receiving from the Congressional Directed Spending Bill 2026, the next spot will be our big emergency operations center, so we can put in a backup 911, so we can have some additional radios, so we can have a new. We have no air conditioning down there, and believe it or not, in the winter it's 75 degrees down there, and everybody's sweating, and you're putting fans. So these things are needed to get. I mean, this center in a big emergency is really critical to bring all of those public safety partners together. This is probably something you haven't seen. This is the new Sea Bluff Beach and Rescue Station outpost, which is in front of you for tonight. The mayor had her grant back when she had the let's call it walkway and the seawall all redone. There was some extra funding there that could have certainly went back to the state, but the mayor was saying let's take a look at this and see if we can use it. So we requested to use it for safety equipment. So this is going to be the first of its kind. This is going to be a rescue station, we'll call it. It's going to be fully solar powered. It's going to have cameras on it. It's going to have 5 cameras on it, 4 views of the beach, and then a PTZ that will go out into the water area. And we also have it so we can see that Cove River. As you know, we've had a couple of emergencies in the Cove River that could have been life-ending. And with the fast use of the cameras and talking to the lifeguards, we were able to get emergency personnel there very quickly. The good thing about this also is it's not coming out of taxpayer funds, so it's grant funding from that project, and it's going to look very similar to this. It's 10 by 14. There'll be rescue sleds. So what we call them is they look like rescue boards. There'll be 2 at that station. There'll be a blue call box, emergency push button that will have a camera in it as well, fully solar, and it will be for I can tell you that lifeguards will be able to sit up on top of it in a special chair, looking over everything. And this is really going to be the first of its kind. We initially wanted to do it as a roof, very similar to what you see at the Sandy Playground. But those who do the solar said it just won't work. It won't look right. Trying to have smaller panels inside that kind of trumped roof, but we're going with a slanted flat roof instead. Coming to the end here, defibrillators for Heart Healthy City. As you know, we take this really seriously as well. We've put 35 new units out. I could tell you that we didn't have units at the ball fields. So, take for instance Peggles, McCrill, Kerrigan, Bailey. You got a lot of people out and using those ball fields, and we didn't have an AED there. The mayor said, get them there. So we got them there. We also did this new scan. So it's actually a QR code. So if you scan that QR code, it'll pop up where the AED and Narcan locations are. You'll see them. That's actually the map where each of them are. If you call 911 and you're in one of those areas, they can tell you where the next closest AED or Narcan station is. I can tell you that this, there's nobody else. There are other communities that are doing AEDs out in the public, but we have really just about essentially put them in as many places as we can where the public is. On top of that, what we're also doing is we're training. We've trained well over 1,200 residents, employees, and community groups. We've been out in the condominium groups. We've been at the Elks Club. We've been down at West Walk. We've been at Oak Street. We've been at Morrissey. We've been at Pre. We've tried to handle as many groups as we can to get training out there. And what I meant to say is, and nobody's giving Narcan out like we do. We give it out because it could save a life. You just never know. It doesn't have to be somebody who's a drug addict and who is taking drugs. It could be somebody who did something that thought it was recreational and had something that and I think we all know there's a lot of fentanyl out there that very little can kill somebody. So we've given out a good amount of Narcan, over 1,500 kits. And that was all through the opioid settlement fund, so at no cost to the taxpayers, which has been really instrumental. Yes, sir.
I just want to comment on your AEDs, because I think it's incredible what the mayor and you all have been able to do to get them citywide, and those units are so easy to use, and I thank you for recommending them to me, because that's what we put over at the church across the street. You helped train us for those. Same thing with the Narcan, and it's so simple to use that literally anybody could do it and help save a life. So, thank you for this. This one means a lot.
No, you're welcome, and we're glad to do it. I mean, there's nothing better than when you train somebody, and I like when someone comes back and says, "I used it." I like when someone comes back and says, "We did CPR." That's why we do it. Lifeguard training, we train all our lifeguards along the beach. And not only we train them, we give them Narcan. And if, putting them in the hands of someone who's that age, we're confident that they know how to use it. And hopefully they don't have to, but if they need it, it's there. We tell people, put it in your car, put it in your glove box. It doesn't really go bad. I tell people, Narcan usually has a 2.5 year expiration date on it. If you use Narcan that's expired, if it expired in 2025, we tell people, a rescuer, someone who's in fire, police, ambulance, they cannot give an expired drug. But if you have it in your car and it expires, we're told that in 5 years from the expiration date, unless it's in the direct sunlight, it could freeze. It's still going to be 85 to 95% effective. So don't think that just because it expired, you have to throw it away. We can't do it as professional rescuers, but the public, I say don't get rid of it. Yes.
It's not like if the person is not in an opiate crisis and you administer the Narcan, it's not like something that's harmful to that person.
Yeah, you can't harm anyone. It really is. It really is just a cognitive brain block. If you give someone Narcan by mistake, you thought that they were, and we do it. We give it to someone who's unconscious and we don't know what happened. We're giving it to them because it's not going to hurt anybody. Same thing with epinephrine. When we give epi for someone who has an allergic reaction, if you're giving it to an older person who has a bad heart, is one thing. But if you're giving it to, typically this happens most of the time with kids, not just kids, but if you give it to them, we store epinephrine in our body, so there is no problem. You may have a little bit of a heart increase, but it doesn't live that much longer in the body. It uses it up pretty quick. I had a picture of this in there. I actually meant to take it out, but that's what it looks like on the green. Those are our new. Those are kind of the new containers. They spin off instead of opening the door because they're in an outside environment. And then last but not least, I just want to talk to you about this real quick. This is our new Stop the Bleed. I'm sure you've all heard about it. It's going to be our new initiative beginning this spring into summer of 2026. We are going to be doing Stop the Bleed training. We also will be putting Stop the Bleed kits in all of our AEDs. So if there's an AED location, there's going to be a Stop the Bleed kit for 4 people. All of our schools, we typically don't put these in the school, but we're putting these in all the schools too. And we'll do training. We'll work together with the fire department and make sure that people have the ability to use these kits. And the best part of it, no one is doing this. we're giving you a Stop the Bleed kit after we train you. That's only here in West Haven. And I know that the mayor has been very instrumental in making sure that we're utilizing the right funding. We have the opioid crisis funding, and it literally, we could use it for this purpose. We're doing it in coordination with Narcan, with the AEDs, and now we're transitioning to Stop the Bleed. That's all I have. I thought it was important to give you a little bit of an update. We've been working on a lot of things. And I can tell you that we'll continue to do this. But again, I think these are really critical safety improvements that make this community a better community and makes people understand that that we're leaving no stone unturned. We're doing everything we can from an emergency response and preparedness standpoint. So I thank you for your attendance here. I know that you guys have been working really hard, and I appreciate the support that we get from the council. And you can rest assured that we'll have our foot on the gas pedal.
Do we have any questions from the committee?
Yeah, just one question.
Any questions from the rest of the council?
Oh, sorry. Is this shareable, the presentation?
I will share the presentation with everyone, yeah. I'll get it to Carla, and Carla will push it out to everyone.
Thank you.
Or Stacy. Carla and Stacy.
I just want to say thank you for everything that you do for the city of West Haven, keeping everybody safe, and your passion, and for helping everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sorry it took as long. I wanted this to go 20 minutes, but unfortunately it.
Yeah, Rick, I just like to comment if I could for a minute. So, the amount of work that you, the mayor, and your team has done in 3 years is absolutely remarkable. I mean, it really is. I mean, we have a small segment where at UNH, but what you were able to deploy over this last 3 years is citywide is just incredible. So it can't be understated, because what you've all created is a security bubble. That security bubble around and above, West Haven that has made the community's life safer. I mean, it's really, the multi-dimensional security technologies that you have deployed that work together is going to change behavior, and it's going to increase arrests, and it's going to make sure that the people in this community, whether they visit here or they live here, are going to feel safer. And sometimes local talent isn't recognized, but I recognized how talented you are and your team is, and we're very fortunate to have you here in this role. We're better and safer because of it. So thank you.
I want to echo the sentiments of Chief Quagliani, but you are precise, you are determined, you are ferocious, and it's for one reason only. It's to make sure that our citizens are safe, our visitors are safe. You could tell through Councilman Donovan. I had a chance to see the EOC, and I saw you in action. That was impressive. It was up to date. It was modern. It was new. No one has what we have. And because of your efforts, the mayor's efforts, and your talents, we are far better off than most. So thank you. Mayor, Melly?
What does PTZ stand for? PTZ.
Pan, tilt, zoom.
Okay, I was like,
The camera can
seemed
pull
like
in,
everybody
pull out.
knew except for me, so thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm only saying I know that Kathy Tucker worked tirelessly with you on the Narcan distribution and working on the opioid crisis committee. So it's a shame she's not here today to receive her accolades as well. I know you have a very good team, and it's good to have a nice leader too. But I wanted to let everyone know that she really has worked tirelessly for it.
Chairman?
Thank you. Rick, I just want to applaud all the work that you, the mayor, and everyone that you're working with has been able to do, not only in 3 years, but without really spending a heck of a lot of taxpayer dollars. I know that you and the mayor are working tirelessly to get outside grant funding for the majority of these initiatives, and you're not just keeping it for the city's purposes in terms of city government. You're expanding it to civic organizations and community organizations, and other nonprofits that cater to the needs of the city and its residents, and making sure that those groups are equally as prepared as a city. I just, especially around budget time, I enjoy having presentations such as these because it really shows what we are getting for our investment and what we're able to do with what resources we have, and it just highlights the talent that we have in this city. So thank you for everything that you all are doing.
Mayor, any comments?
Well, I think everybody said thank you to Rick, but I just want to remind everybody, Rick's part-time. So he does all this, when he was retiring, quote unquote, from New Haven, but, grew up here in West Haven and loves to work on this and really saw so much opportunity. And I'm so grateful that he's here. I'm grateful every day because he just is showing what he does, for safety and, community risk reduction, but all of the storm coordination, everything, when it's fireworks time, he brings everybody together. Like he's just the hub. Our police are excellent, our fire are excellent, our dispatch, but somebody brings it all together and coordinates it. And, we're just all on the same page. And even the communication that I do, the whole Everbridge system, why you didn't put Everbridge in the presentation? Okay. Well, Everbridge, that's all Rick, right? 41,000 people signed up for our alert system. And every time there's an incident, I call Rick. Sometimes he's in Florida. Sometimes he's somewhere else. But wherever he is, we come up with a message and he's able to deliver it through text and emails and phone to 41,000 residents for us for getting emergency messages out. So he does a lot. And even the access badges in City Hall, that takes so much work and coordination with wiring the building and working with IT and, working with the outside companies and coming here on Sunday. So it's a lot of work and I really appreciate it. And by the way, it hasn't been 3 years. It's only been 2 years and 3 months. It feels like 3, that's all. But anyway, so thank you, Rick, for all you do.
Any other questions or comments?
Just one question that wasn't highlighted. Last term, the city council approved the first step in speed cameras throughout the city. Do you have any idea where we are on that?
I think I can probably give you just a real quick update. We have gone through an RFP process for proposals. We didn't realize there were 13 companies even out there in the world that did this, and we had 13 companies respond to RFP. And when we actually met, we went through every single document, and when we went through that, we determined who the top 3 were. We brought the top 3 companies in for an additional interview process. Actually, we did it through the web, and we are at the step to make the decision on the next company that will do our speed cameras around schools. I can tell you that our goal is between 90 and 120 days that these will be operational. They're coming. A lot of work goes into trying to not only did we had to go through the council, we had to go through the state. Now we'll have another part of the process from gathering some of the speed data. I can tell you that the numbers out there, I'm sure you've been reading other communities, are crazy. So they are, and these are the company that we will choose. It's cost neutral, doesn't cost us anything. So music to everybody's ears at no cost, but we will certainly have a process where tickets are unfortunately given to individuals that violate the speed by 10 miles an hour, and it's going to make our roads more safer because the funding that comes from that has to go back into road safety. So we're blessed that we are able to get through that process. I know everyone is pushed, but I'm going to say between the next, 120 days, these cameras will be operational in West Haven.
Great. Thank you, Chairman.
I just want to thank Rick for his work on that as well. Himself and Rick Spryer and the police chief and the deputy police chief read those 13 proposals, and it's amazing that independently they all came up with the top three choices. And tomorrow's the day they're meeting to make the final decision. And we already have preliminary data, which we're not ready to share yet, which preliminary data which shows where some of those high speed roads are. And unfortunately, they are around our school. So we'll be able to share that data when the time comes.
And I'll give you one example. I don't want to give you too much, but I think you can take this one home with you tonight. We had one school, 1,200 violations in 1 month. 1,200. That's one school. And there were a couple that were pretty much right behind it, some at 7 and 8. So this is a common problem that again, it's all about one word: safety. And we're working on it. And honestly, I think this is going to make a huge difference. They're coming to West Haven. So a lot of work, and I think we're after tomorrow we'll be able to share some information.
Thank you, Mr. Fontana. Mr. Chairman, Public Safety Committee, time now is 7:51, is ending.
Thank you, Chairman. Rick, thank you for everything. Thank you. Moving on to the Finance Committee, Acting Chairman Quagliani.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The time is 7:52 p.m. The Finance Committee is now in session. Council members present are Councilman Donovan, Councilwoman Garthwaite, myself acting as chair, Councilwoman Akbarali, and Tucker are absent this evening. First on the agenda is a finance update for February 2026. We have with us tonight our Finance Director, Mr. Gormany, who will take us through that.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I have to follow Mr. Fontana, so, Mayor, I don't know if you want to start it off with a few words, or I'll just go right into it.
No, you could
All right.
do the report, sure.
All right, so everyone was sent the monthly financial report as of February. I know it's been a few months because of snowstorms and other things since we've talked about the financial report for the city. So again, I always remind everyone, this is a snapshot in time, and anything can change the report within any month. So with the February report, we are projecting a slight deficit for the city on the general fund side, as noted within the report. The overall city deficit is looking at $3.6 million, which is a combination of revenues for the city not meeting budget in certain areas. And then we do have some expenditure savings that will cover those revenues. Some of the revenues were highlighted on the front page. On the city side, again, I've mentioned this in previous meetings. We are seeing interest income as one of our primary drivers on the revenue side. We did budget $2.4 million for the fiscal year. Again, that was based on what we were seeing in the markets and things and our interest rates at the time of the budget. We are projecting to be about $1 million short of that particular budget. And again, that's driven by how much cash we have on hand, operating costs, revenue intake, just certain things that we see from the city perspective from a cash standpoint. And some of our interest rates are down from what we see when we look at cash on hand in our average monthly balances when we compare to previous year. So again, a lot of the interest rates and things are dictated by the market and what banks give us based on our cash on hand. We do have cash in the short-term investment fund, which is STIF, which is managed by the state of Connecticut, which gives us our best return. But again, based on how our cash is spread out and things like that. And remember, when I talk about cash, we have to make sure that it's in liquid accounts because we need cash to go in, but we also need to be able to pull cash out to meet our operating costs, debt service, payroll, payables, things like that. Quarterly tax payments did affect some of our cash on hand as well, and what we ended up generating and what we're projecting from the city standpoint as well. Tax collections are actually projected to be on budget, so that's one of the areas that's in a favorable position for the city. We are projecting to exceed budget based on our collection rate and what we're seeing in that area. And then the other major area on the revenue side was our Board of Education. The revenue that we book based on grant funding they receive versus general fund revenue compared to their expenditures. We are going to see a shortfall in the on the budgetary basis of how we account for our education cost sharing. And that number happened to be similar to the overall deficit. That's about $3.7 million. On the expenditure side, we do have vacancy savings that's covering some of our overtime. We did look at our public safety, which is our police and 911 and emergency management. We are carrying a deficit in there, but I do want to say that the deficit we're hoping is our worst case scenario. So again, we have certain things when we go into projecting this: overtime trends, hiring, vacancy savings, workers' comp, that we try to project out for the year. We also are in negotiations with the police union as well, so that is also taken into account when we look at this projection for our police department. So we are seeing that and forecasting that they will be over budget for the fiscal year, but again, we're hoping that's worst case scenario, taking everything into account. So if something doesn't come to fruition, overtime trends change to get better, that projection will change over the next few months. Sorry, I just lost my place. So overall, again, on the general fund side, we are looking again at a combined deficit of about $3.6 million. On the AFD side, they are looking at a balanced budget for fiscal year 26, just a small surplus of about $35,000. Part of that surplus, just so the council knows, is we were able to contribute less than we actually had to on a budgetary basis related to their pension, because if you remember, over the past few years, we've had enough money to start paying down that pension liability, so we're already starting to see some of the savings from that prudent move that the city has done over the last few years. On the sewer fund, we are projecting a balanced budget of about $44,000 surplus. The big thing that you'll notice on the sewer fund is we are looking at not collecting as much as we budgeted from the town of Orange, but that is also offset by debt service, and that is due to a delay on the engineering side of some work that's related to the Oyster River pump station. So because we don't have to borrow that money, that's less debt. Let me rephrase that. We don't have to borrow that money currently, based on the project status. That's savings on the debt service side, but based on the agreement with the town of Orange, that's less money that they have to contribute for that fiscal year. So that's one of the bigger variances. And then again, sewer fees is collected to be slightly less than budget. We're looking at about a 98% collection rate that we're looking at for the fiscal year, and some slight adjustments on the sewer fund. But even with that not being able to collect the budget, they're still in a surplus on collection fees, albeit a small surplus. So with that, I believe I covered. That's kind of just a snapshot in time of the monthly report as of February.
Thank you, Mr. Gorman. Any questions from the Finance Committee? Councilwoman Garthwaite or Councilman Donovan? Go ahead, Councilman Donovan.
How you doing, Mike?
Great.
Yeah, your report came out. And a lot of the red is BOE. And have they explained to you why there's so much in debt there? I don't know if they explain. I know they got to come explain to us. I just didn't know if they explained to you guys ahead of time or.
Yes, I think this has to do with you. I'm sorry. Sure.
I mean, only because I went to the Board of Education member and asked, so thanks for allowing me to answer. I did go to the Board of Education meeting because that was the first budget to actual report that was provided for the fiscal year, to ask a lot of those questions, and I didn't get a lot of those answers. So I think there's been a transition. Matt Cavallaro left. He was the finance director, and then another finance director came in, and she left, and now they have a finance director, and she seems to be getting organized, but it's been, it's been quite a challenge, understanding the system. I just don't know what to say. It's not.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know.
I know. I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but it's hard because they're in a deficit. And we started explaining back in last July. This is fiscal year 25, a deficit. We were seeing, let me just clarify that the Board of Ed does accounting in a separate way, right? We have Munis. They have Munis, but they don't load everything in Munis all the time. So it's not real time. You could see it. But what we started seeing in July and August was a deficit. And we talked to the Board of Education about that deficit. They were in flux with the financial managers. They indicated they didn't have a deficit. Michael kept walking over to Board of Education saying, you have a deficit. At the end of the day, they had the deficit, and it was a very large one. It was $8 million, mostly driven by special education. And then we also have this issue out there that, and you'll see these in this report, about the Alliance grant, about the accounting methodology of the past. It changed in 2013. I have no records that indicate why. But now the superintendent is saying that the city did not give us the funding that we should have been given, so we are going to spend it. So they're spending the funding that they believe that the city should have given them. And that is causing a additional amount towards the deficit. So in fiscal year 25, now this is unaudited, remember, so fiscal year 25, the audit is not completed yet. There's an $8 million deficit due to special education, and then another $4 million deficit, which was an overspending of the Alliance grant, which the Board of Education believes the city should have given to them. Complicated, I know. Now in fiscal year 26, they're showing a balance, but that's using, again, $4 million of funding they believe the city should have given them, so they're using it. So a lot of those other line items that you see in red, there weren't a lot of answers when I asked the questions about how they're going to end in fiscal year 26, for example, in special education, on track when there was an $8 million deficit last year. I think Matt put the budget together, Ann's managing the budget, and there's a bit of a gap understanding. Is that fair, Michael? A fair
Yes.
way of putting it?
Absolutely.
So, for example, you'll see a line item about health insurance, right? So there's a projection for health insurance. My question is, how do you know that you're on track for health insurance? What did you budget for a percent for an increase for health insurance fiscal year 26? And Ann wasn't sure. And, if you're not sure what assumptions went into the budgeting, how can you be sure about your projections for fiscal year 26? So we're already seeing a deficit for fiscal year 26 that the city, together, we will cover. But I'm very worried about what the year is going to end like. In addition, we have fiscal year 27 on our desks, which is another $4 million request on top of the $5 million. So right now, we have $11 million hole fiscal year 25, $4 million hole fiscal year 26, and I have a $9 million gap for fiscal year 27. And when I tell you I look for every penny every day, I call every contractor we have to renegotiate. I call all of our outside folks asking for funding. We've had several meetings with the state, as you know. It's not unique to West Haven. I'm sure every day you pick up the paper and you're looking in the news, right? You see Hartford, Bridgeport, New Haven. A lot of cities are in a bit of a financial crisis due to Board of Education. It's not anybody's fault that those costs have risen significantly. What is a challenge for me is there hasn't been arms around these line items so that we can manage it. So now we have Diana McManus, who's our great auditor, and when I first came on board on the city side, we saw like double POs in the system and double expenses that were canceled out, and that helped us with our finances. So, I'm going off on a tangent, but let's say you put a PO, and that's really just like you put an earmark or a place saver against an expense account. Let's say you put that in for $200,000, but somebody else put a $200,000 earmark in the system as well. Now you have a double expenses are being doubly, if that's a word. So we went through and closed out all these old POs from years earlier and found funding. We're now doing that for the Board of Education because I don't know, there's only one person in their finance department. I don't know that they have the capacity to do that. So we every day are now going through all of the we've already gone through ours, right? It's hard to get blood from a stone. We've cut, we've done everything. We're going through all of the Board of Expenses now ourselves in helping to the best we can because, this is, we all got to work together. And the challenge is it's there. And it's a significant financial issue for us to manage.
Oh, thank you. I know that this is killing you, and I'm sure it's eating at you as well. So, but thank you for your input on that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. And it's, as I said in the paper, it's my responsibility. I don't know what happened in the prior years, and I don't know how it was missed by everybody. That's another story for another day. All I know is I have this in front of me, and we were kind of riding high with these surpluses at the city, and then overnight it turned to, oh, by the way, you have all these deficits, and you got to figure it out. But we will, right? That's what we will do.
Well, I do have the utmost confidence that you and the team will do the best that you can with that and bring it a little closer, and we will bring it even closer if we have to. So,
thank you. And I see our I don't mean to put him on a spot, but a member of our state delegation is here, and
we'll work on them next.
Yes, that's you. And I know everybody's been putting a lot of pressure on them as well, and the governor and our speaker and everybody. But there's 169 cities in the state, and everybody's clamoring for funds right now. But I think think West Haven's due a few dollars.
Thank you, Councilman Donovan. Before I open it up to the rest of the council, just point of clarification, Mayor. I understand and I appreciate the kind of the history behind it, but I think at one point you said that the Board of Education is spending money that they think they're entitled to, but not necessarily, and I'm going to add this part, that was appropriated to them within the budget process. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. The situation came to light after the last budget approval. And, you know, it's very complicated, and I've actually contacted the State Department of Education and the State Department of Office and Policy Manual to help sort it out, Office of Policy Management, to help sort it out, because it's not as simple, you shorted us. To put it as simple as I can, we have the ECS money, and we are an Alliance district that gets an Alliance grant. You're supposed to provide the funding to the Board of Ed in two separate avenues, right? Alliance grant has to be provided separately so that it could be accounted for separately. Back in 2013, the city combined them and gave the funding to the Board of Education that way, and it got a little gray as to what was Alliance and what was ECS, purely ECS. So that's what needs to be sorted out, because you also have the issue that if Alliance came into this, there's a law that once it goes up, it can't come down. So we can't pull the Alliance funding. We can't just change it overnight and separate it back out, because now you have this up here and this additional funding, if that makes sense. So it's a complicated situation that I hope the state can help sort out, because, you know, I was not here, but I'm here now to help try to, you know, solve it. But I think everybody that was here, no, it's difficult to understand how, if this was wrong, how it was missed by everybody, right? If it's truly wrong, and I don't have that answer today. I'm not prepared to sit here and say, yes, we did short, but if we did, of course, you know, we have to address it. But we had a lot of people looking at our finances for a lot of years. Statutorily, we were under state oversight. The Board of Education handed back surpluses every year to the city as well. So that's something that has to be considered, right? So in 2021, $2.7 million was a surplus in Board of Education, which came back to the city. So it's not a simple formula like you should have given us this $4 million. So it's a lot to sort out. Certainly new to me, all of us, but we're going to work to sort it out. Meanwhile, at the end of the day, I got a $9 million gap for 2027 that I got to figure out, and do want a little bit more assistance with the Board of Education of understanding the mitigation plan. I will tell you one thing, one silver lining, that because a lot of the costs are driven by special education, a lot of it is out-of-district transportation, right? So we have a legal and we have a moral obligation to make sure that those with special needs receive an education, but we don't have the facilities. So we are required to transport these children to a facility that is equipped to help them. Sometimes those facilities are in Willimantic. Sometimes those facilities are in Massachusetts. We need to, and these children are on a school bus for an hour to a facility, and then an hour back. And not only are you paying for the child's transportation, but the child's caregiver as well. And there's no caps. There's no caps on these private providers. There's no, you know, there's a lot of talk at the state right now about the state law, you know, potentially putting some caps on this because it's a little bit of a runaway train. So we have Noble School, and we're Noble School's building on Noble Street. The second floor is empty, and the third floor, the seniors are moving out. So I called our superintendent, and I called the head of our special needs department, Stefania, and I also called ACES. And we said, what if we become one of those regional hubs for special education? So now not only will we put to use a building, because it's either that or sell the building, but we can't sell the building because we have early childhood in the bottom floor of that building. Why don't we become a regional hub, and that will cut our transportation costs, but also ACES will bring in children from other districts. So we're putting that program together right now to see how that'll impact the bottom line. So we have to think creatively and we have to think outside of the box. And so I'm trying to partner with the Board of Education. I will, I know I'm going off on a tangent, but you could obviously see that I live, breathe, and it's the first thing when I wake up. It's just it's very challenging because it's a lot of money, and the last thing we want to do is impact our taxpayers. So we do work together. I do think there can be more transparency around, the Board of Education's funding is supposed to be online by law. And we need to see what's going on. Like, I didn't know until December this deficit existed, and I need to see, and we need to work hand in hand. And Michael and Ann have been working hand in hand more now. I think there just wasn't that in the past, and now because the what hit the fan, everybody's getting together, and we're even looking at how we could combine potentially departments, doing everything we can. We certainly don't want to see teachers or paras or nurses lose their job. That is not the goal here. And I just want to say that, asking questions about Board of Education funding is not anti-education. It's actually pro-education, because you want to make sure the funding is going to the right places. And it's a little frustrating for me sometimes when I'm sitting there and I'm asking the question. Everybody should be asking these questions. Everybody should be asking these questions. And I think some people are not asking questions in the public because they don't have the finances in front of them because they're not online. So I think you had one question, and I went off on and on and on, but it was one question. I see a lot of red. It's a natural question to ask, why would custodial supplies be over $200,000? Why would miscellaneous expenses be over $400,000? Those are important questions that you have, and everybody has every right to ask. There may be very good answers, but if you don't see the finances, you're not asking the question. So we're working together. Thank you.
Stand by. I think there'll be more questions. Okay, Councilman. Chairman next.
Ms. Gormley, just thank you. You are wonderful at your craft, sir.
Thank you.
I'm just have a question. I'm a little bit concerned about the skyrocketing costs of fuel and how that will impact what we allocated in the budget moving forward with really nothing in sight right now to stabilize that portion.
Yes, so I been talking to our chief of staff, Mr. Spryer, just about our general utilities and things like that. So that's something that we're definitely going to be looking at. I know he, for example, has a meeting to talk about electric and other rates tomorrow. So I'm sure, because that's lumped in with utilities, that's also on the radar as well. So I don't have an exact answer on the rates and contracted costs right now, because that's, again, something that will be reviewed, especially as we go into the 2027 budget year.
Good. Chairman?
Thank you, Chairman. Michael, you know that I appreciate you, but I really did like Director Fontana's presentation better.
So did I. There's no doubt. So did I.
Just a couple questions. As we're entering into our budget season in about a month, we look very closely at where we're tracking, and one concern I have is the public safety deficit of 2.5 million. I realize that it's being offset by vacancies and whatnot, but could you elaborate a little bit of what's the driving force behind that, and what we're looking at for FY27 to sort of either try to mitigate that or just drive that down a little bit?
Sure. Oh. Yeah, so again, what we're looking at when we're doing the forecast is the overtime versus how many vacancies there are. I believe he has 2 to 3 vacancies, I believe, still in his department. The last time we reconciled his personnel. So we look at the overtime and we look at the trends, and then we are also trying to forecast what the timeline for filling those vacancies are. But as I mentioned, because I can't go into too much, also built in there is what happens if we if we settle police negotiations, right, based on general wage increases, retro. That would obviously increase the overtime more because they'd be getting a higher rate. So that number and is, like I said in the beginning, hopefully the worst case scenario, building everything in. But again, as trends change, that may change during the fiscal year or hiring occurs. Or again, as I mentioned in the front cover sheet, one thing that we've always looked at is workers' comp, people coming back on light duty, or injuries, things like that. As all that starts to lighten, then that projection may change during the year. But there is some aspect of that that's built in for this fiscal year. That's really a wait and see, such as the negotiations piece, right? Because I have a projected number in there, but it depends on what we settle in. We could settle in less than what I'm projecting in my forecast, as an example.
Thank you.
To follow up to that.
Yep.
Sorry. Just a follow up to that because one of the other driving issues, a couple of things. Don't forget about the storms, right? Everybody thinks that's public works, but that's fire and police too, because so much overtime and working through the night, and it was all hands on deck during 2 blizzards, so that contribute a lot to the rising costs. We also had, you saw at the police awards all those incidents. We had, police officer that was shot in the leg, and a police officer that was injured in his car, and a police. So we have a lot of workers' compensation and a lot of coverage for those officers. And then we also had a significant beach patrol last summer that we had to deploy, which I know that the chief and the deputy chief have been meeting this week to come up with a revised plan that keeps the shoreline safe, but we just can't have all those police officers there day and night. So we got to work on that. So I know they're working on that. Those are the driving. Workers' compensation, snow, and probably our beach patrol.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm never one to complain about what we spend on public safety, but I want to make sure we have our arms around the numbers and what the reasons are. That way we can better budget for the next year, make sure that they are funded.
And as the mayor mentioned, as the city continues to look at fiscal year 27, we're taking all that into consideration.
Thanks.
No matter how tough.
But also remember that police union contract is up. So in 2027, we're going to have retro, and we're going to have the increase for 2026 and the increase for 2027. Mm-hmm. So we build as much as we can into our contingency line item, but we're going to have police increases, and we just settled the Allentown Fire Department union contract, which will be coming before you soon.
This is why it's so important that we build up the contingency fund, and why I think that the mayor did a great job with the last budget, and the council wanted to keep it as is instead of using that as a way to reduce the budget a little bit, because you just never know when these expenses are popping up.
Exactly.
I have 2 questions about the Board of Ed, because I do think that the majority of the questions are probably more appropriate for the superintendent when we speak to him, because he'll have the more granular details. But 2 things I want to confirm: we're looking at the available fund balance to cover the FY25, FY26 deficit, because the mayor and your office has done a great job to build that up over the last 2 years and how many months? 2 years, 3 months, 7 days, and whatever. So we do have the funds to be able to shore up that hole for the moment.
Yeah, so to fiscal year 24, the ending fund balance was around $22 million. So obviously, running an $8 million deficit in 25 takes that down by 8, and then that's why the mayor said the finance office and the Board of Education office are working closely to see, is there any way that 26, how much can be mitigated, whether it's 400,000, $1 million, whatever the number is, because you're correct, that number will come off of the ending fund balance of 25, which is already $8 million less.
Okay. And if you can just explain, 'cause I think I have a general understanding of what you were saying, but I'd like to hear it again. My understanding is that part of the issue, from your perspective, is that when the Board of Ed presented its budget, it contemplated using Alliance or ECS, I'm not sure which one, but one of those funding to pay for certain operational expenses. And then at some point, that decision changed, and the funding's being used in a different manner.
You wanna?
No, they didn't. Are you talking about what year are you talking about?
For this year. So that the 3.6, if you look at the
So for this year, fiscal year 26,
Yes.
in their budget to actual, they're showing a balance by using $4 million of alliance that the superintendent believes should have been provided to the Board of Education.
So this isn't a reallocation of the funds that they do have. This is, from your perspective, using money that they believe they should have.
Correct. Right. So that's
Okay.
like the police. Let's say you gave a department $10 million, and they spent 13, and said, "Well, you should have given us 13."
Okay.
So we're spending 13. Now we still got to sort it all out because, again, at the end of the day, I don't know if the city shorted them through all those years because there's no records, and we have to sort it all out. Michael doesn't believe so. Neil believes so. So we need, an independent. We need the state to step in and say that, and they will. And
Okay.
is that
Thank
clear as
you.
mud?
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
I mean, I'm just struggling with this whole concept. So at the end of the day, any department head could say, hey, you should have gave me this, so I'm just going to spend the difference of what you gave me to what I think you should have given me. So, I mean, that needs to stop. I don't know how to make it stop, but it's you're given the budget that you're given, and you make ends meet based on what you have as a budget. You can't just make up an arbitrary number and say, well, I think I should have this, so we're going to continue to spend. I don't know who I'm talking to, Mayor, but I mean,
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
But you're right. And especially frustrating when you ask those questions like, why are copy services over by $270,000, or why is this over budget? There's a lot of line items over budget, but here, at the end of the day, that $4 million is either going to show up as balancing the Board of Ed or show up as balancing us. At the end of the day, we are $4 million short. So I think they're straightening out their methodology for accounting and budget to actual. I think Ann finally has a budget to actual report. There's been the Board of Education is required by law to provide a budget to actual report online. They haven't had a budget to actual report in a few years. They don't have financial workshops, and they don't often talk about finances. I think all that is changing because now they have a deficit, and it's all being highlighted. So I think Ann is working towards that end, but whether the Board of Ed is saying they balance their books because they're using the $4 million, or we're saying but at the end of the day, there's $4 million short in between the Board of Ed and the city's budget, and I have to figure out how to cover it. That's what's frustrating to me. Right? Because we are all one, and we're all trying to work together, but we're $4 million short, and I got to find that $4 million. But you're right. There weren't a lot of answers to why those line items are over budget. And a lot of that was in plants and operations. We are finding things. We've been working again with Diana for a couple weeks now. And, yeah, you're right. Here's the thing. You're right. Those questions are for the superintendent. And it probably in the next week or two, we'll be having our special meeting, and we'll be asking the Board of Education to come forward and ask questions. And I also want to mention, we ask every department to come forward, from the clerk's office to park rec office to the police department to public works. And it seems like when we ask Board of Education to come forward and answer some questions, there's there's a little pushback as to why we're asking those questions. We by law can't tell the Board of Ed how to spend their money, but we provide the money, and before we provide the money, we got to ask the questions, right? We got to ask, what do you need this funding for? What do you need that funding for? So we are going to have the Board of Education come forward like we do with every department. And we're going to ask questions like we do with every department. And sometimes it's uncomfortable, like it is with every department head, right? But that's what we're here for. That's what we were elected to do, right? To manage the finances and to understand them and manage them the best we can. So that's what we're going to do. And they're going to, come and we're all going to have a big meeting and talk it out. And, if we could come up with more programs like I just talked about at Noble School, that'd be wonderful. I'm looking for ideas. But I'm looking to the Board of Ed for some ideas.
Follow on, Chairman?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I was actually just going to echo what the mayor said, because we all have a lot of questions. We have this document in front of us. We don't have these answers, and we have a perspective from the mayor and the finance director, but these are questions that we do need to ask the Board of Education through the superintendent. So I will be working with the mayor and with Councilman Akbarelli, the finance committee chair, to schedule that special meeting so we can go through historically what has happened and the FY27 proposed budget by the Board of Ed, so that way we can have a night dedicated just to this issue. Because like the mayor said, we ask questions and we get nitty gritty with every department, and I think it is our responsibility to do the same with the Board of Ed. It's the biggest department. It's the biggest part of our budget. So we need just to make sure that all the money is going to where it needs to be, and make sure that we have a handle of what's going on. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, like the mayor said, we'll be able to get that meeting together. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Gormany? No? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gormany.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Tonight we also have in front of us Communication C. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Donovan. Is there a second?
Second.
Well, we're in committee. Councilwoman Garthwaite, is there any discussion on that? Is there any discussion by the council regarding Communication C? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Committee? Of the committee, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. We have tonight in front of us Communication D. I'd like to also entertain a motion to bring this out favorably.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Donovan. Second by Councilman Garthwaite. Any discussion? Entire council, any discussion? Seeing none, call the vote of committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. We also have Communication E for tonight. I'd like to have a motion to bring that out favorably.
I'll let you go ahead. Make the motion.
So moved.
Councilman Garthwaite, second by Councilman Donovan.
Holiday pig.
Any discussion? Entire council, any discussion? Seeing none, call the vote of committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? And that motion carries. And that concludes your business of finance, Mr. Chairman, at 8:33 p.m.
Thank you. Moving on to the Committee on Infrastructure and Technology, Chairman Rivera.
Thank you, Councilman Vargo. The time is 8:34. The Committee on Infrastructure and Technology is now in session. Members present are councilpersons Heffernan, McMillan, Quagliani, Garthwaite, and myself, Councilman Rivera, acting as chair. We have before the committee tonight Communication B from the February 23rd, 2026 agenda. This communication is being held pending a report back from the Planning and Zoning Commission. The Committee on Infrastructure and Technology is now closed at 8:34.
Thank you. Okay, and last but not least, Personnel and Civil Service, Chairman Ronan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The time is 8:34 p.m. The Committee on Personnel and Civil Services is now in session.
Councilman Ronan. Thank you.
We'll start all over. It's 8:35.
8:35 now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The time is 8:35. The Committee on Personnel and Civil Services is now in session. Members present are councilpersons Rivera, Tagliatella, and Garthwaite, and myself, Councilperson Ronan, acting as chair. Members present, members absent are Councilwoman Akbarali. We have before us tonight Communication D from the February 23rd, 2026 agenda. This communication is being held. The Committee on Personnel and Civil Services now closed at 8:35.
Thank you. Time is still 8:35, and the council as a whole is reconvening. Unfinished business, we don't have any. So we will move on to committee reports, and at this time I will ask the City Council Clerk to read Communications A and B on this evening's agenda into the record.
Communication A from the tax collector regarding refund of overpayments for March 2026 will be filed with tonight's minutes. And Communication B from the tax collector regarding refund of overpayments also for March 2026 will also be filed with tonight's minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Stacy. Moving on to the Finance Committee, Chairman Quagliani.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Communication C from the 3/23/26 agenda to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven. Your Committee on Finance to whom was referred the matter of a consideration and action regarding Communication C from tonight's agenda reports that the committee met on the 23rd day of March 2026 to consider said matter. It is unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the waiver of fees for the Special Olympics Bocce Tournament, which is scheduled for December 13th, 2026, and I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilman Quagliani regarding a request for a fee waiver for Special Olympics Bocce Tournament. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Garthwaite. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Communication D from the March 23rd, 2026 agenda to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven. Your Committee on Finance to whom was referred the matter of consideration and action regarding Communication D from tonight's agenda reports that the committee met on the 23rd day of March 2026 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Resolved, the City Council of the City of West Haven hereby approves the waiver of fees for the Cystic Fibrosis Walkathon, which is scheduled for May 9th, 2026, and I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilman Quagliani regarding fee waivers for Cystic Fibrosis Walkathon. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Beaton. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Communication E from the 3/23/26 agenda to the Honorable City Council of the City of West Haven. Your Committee on Finance to whom was referred the matter of consideration action regarding Communication E from tonight's agenda reports that the committee met on the 23rd day of March 2026 to consider said matter. It is the unanimous opinion of the committee that the following motion be presented. Whereas, as part of the 2019 Urban Act grant, the City of West Haven was awarded a grant for $3,900,000 from the Department of Emergency and Environmental Protection for the construction of the Cove River Bridge, and whereas the Cove River Bridge project was completed under budget, leaving $441,962 available from the 2019 Urban Act grant, and whereas the city desires to construct an emergency outpost near the Cove River Bridge to be funded entirely by the excess 2019 Urban Act grant, and whereas the State of Connecticut Bonding Commission has approved the reallocation of the excess funds from the 2019 Urban Act grant for the construction of the emergency outpost. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of West Haven may execute an amended agreement with the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection for the remaining 2019 Urban Act grant balance of $441,962 to construct an emergency outpost near the Cove River Bridge and to fully fund by the excess grant funds. And be it further resolved that Dorinda Boer, as mayor of the City of West Haven, is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents on behalf of the City of West Haven and to do and perform all acts which she deems to be necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of such documents, including but not limited to executing and delivering all agreements and documents contemplated by such documents, and I so move.
Thank you. I have a motion from Councilman Quagliani regarding a reallocation of Urban Act grant funds for the construction of an outpost. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilwoman Heffernan. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Close the business of finance, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Quagliani. Moving on to infrastructure and technology, Chairman Rivera.
We have before us Communication B from February 23rd, 2026 agenda. I'd like to hold this in committee pending report back from Planning and Zoning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Moving on to personnel and civil service,
Thank you,
Chairman
Mr.
Ronan.
Chairman. Your Committee on Personnel and Service met tonight. Communication D from the February 23rd, 2026 agenda is being held.
Thank you.
Concluded the business of personnel.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, that concludes the committee reports. Moving on to City Council liaison reports. Councilman Quagliani.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not the liaison, but I've been in touch with Colleen Bailey regarding a tour of the library. I haven't been there in a little while. I want to get reacclimated, so she's invited all the council members that would like to join us on the tour this Wednesday at 5 p.m. at the main library branch, if anybody would like to join.
Thank you. Would you mind just giving a quick update of where we are with charter revision and the schedule that's coming up?
Sure. Charter, what's today, Monday? Charter revision met after we formed the Charter Commission, the Charter Revision Commission. They met for their first meeting. They were sworn in. Art Kelly was elected the chair of the commission. The vice chair was Alani Perry. So they've gotten their officers acclimated, and then they've scheduled every meeting in the month of April, Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. So this coming Thursday will be their public hearing, the public hearing for the public and elected official that'd like to come and give their thoughts or ideas to the commission. So it'll be this Thursday at 7 in this council chambers, and then every Thursday through the month of April, that'll be at 7 o'clock as well for the regular meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other liaison reports? Councilman Ronan?
Water pollution control, they're going to give a tour on the 30th at about 10 a.m. That's next Monday. So if you'd like, meet me down there and we'll go tour the house. Thank you.
Excuse me, Councilman,
Thank
that's 10 a.m. you said?
Yes, sir.
Perfect, thank you.
That's a Saturday, right? Is it Saturday? It's a Monday. Thank you. Yeah, right. Any other liaison reports?
That's right.
None? Okay. New business. Any new business from the council? Councilman Donovan?
Yeah, I was going to bring this up, Mayor. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot with this question.
Probably
if you
are.
can answer, and I know you got a
Definitely.
good grasp on the city. Any updates on the projects that we have going on? Style School, the Conference Center, Beach
Sure.
Street, the 3 or 4 things going on there.
As long as you're not asking me about Board of Ed funding, I am happy to.
I did that once. I won't.
Yeah, no. No, that's good. They're all good questions. Sure. So let's start with probably the one that I get the most questions about, and believe it or not, it's not the Haven, it's the coffee shop. I get more questions about the coffee shop than any project in the city, and I'm so happy that it is moving along at a rapid pace now. Melissa Milano, they had their 3rd baby, so she was a little busy, and she's the top designer of the of the plan, shall we say? But they're moving along now. They tried to save some of the building, for historic purposes, but that just didn't pan out. We're actually work with them on some of the infrastructure around where the project is. Unfortunately, we also have the sewer plant being upgraded across the street. And that's going to take another 1.5 years. That is a big project because they have to bypass the sewer system in order to take the sewer pump station down and rebuild the new one. So that's so that's moving along. The Debonair, that material, if you will, has sat there way longer than we would like. We did issue them a letter. And I said, we're counting down the days before you remove that. Otherwise, we will start to fine you. I know they got complicated with the snow, so I get that. We gave a little grace period for it was hard to cart that stuff away. But now they have separated the metal from the wood from the cement and are moving along. But we have our eye on that every day. The Kelsey, you saw that the fence went up. They took the roof off. The whole, winter just caused a lot of stalls for everybody, not just for being able to build, but for the delivery of the materials. right? So they need steel to go up. They're putting an elevator in there. So ordering that and getting all of that in has been, time consuming. So they're back on track. They're a little behind schedule, though, unfortunately, because of that holdup. But they're moving along now at a very aggressive pace. I will mention Jimmy's. So Jimmy's, even though that's not a city project, we are working hand in hand with the Gagliardi family, the brothers, the senior brothers, because they are selling, but they want it to be a project that will pass and we'll go through our planning and zoning and will be a complement, because they know that the plan will get rejected, the sale. So we're working together on that, and I actually there's 3 developers, one very promising this Friday that I'm meeting with, that we'll see what they have to say. Let's see, and the Haven. So I mentioned last time that the Haven was under contract. It is still under contract with the same developers. It's heavy on the residential, so I've been working with them to lower those number of units, because we obviously are densely populated already. Something has to be mixed use there. Every developer that has come forward wants to, looks to do mixed use, but, mixed use to me means not heavy residential and just a coffee shop, right? So it has to be mixed use. And so those contractors are working on that to reduce the number of units. So we'll see where that lands. What else? University of New Haven got a $5 million grant from the state, an innovation for their innovation center at Railroad Salvage. So that's a really great jump start for that project, because we will get the building fees from that project, and that's going to bring a lot of jobs. So we were happy to see that they got that funding. Let's see what else. McDermott and Thone, they're moving forward with they're working on their labs. We've been helping them with that. Advanced Grow Lab, we've been helping them with that. They've had an upgrade. Yale Hospital is doing the distribution pharmacy center on Derby Avenue. That's going to be taxable because of the type of business it is, and that's going to bring 100 jobs. So we're working closely with them. They're on a fast pace, which is fine by me.
Yeah. Style School?
Oh, Style School. So Style School was always, it wasn't going to be completed until the end of 2027 because they got to go up, and that's a lot of work. I did reach out to them last week, though, and I told them they have to clean up in front of the property. They put the fence up there, but property owners are responsible for cleaning up in front of their own property. We do send public works there because they're not here, but they got to hire someone to pick up the litter. But I just asked the guys, just pick it up as you're going up Main Street. So we won't see real activity on that until probably the end of the year, like where you see like construction happening, because they had to go through their engineering and their architectural work, and then they're going to have to order the supplies. What else?
Are there any plans for the Debonair? Or
yes. Okay. So remember they were approved through planning and zoning for how many units was it? 30 units. So they came back to me and they wanted to do more units. So that was a negatory because I don't like a bait and switch, right? When you come before us for one approval but I also understand that prices have gone up. So knowing that, when I speak, I try to speak for everybody when I'm working with the developers. Like that's not gonna pass. So now they are looking at condos similar to the ones next to Riva, which personally I think would be a better fit than a high rise, even though the high rise was approved. So we'll see what they come forward with. All I know is they got to clean that, out of there. And they have been. It's moving finally. Yes. I think they're trying to make it work. They're really trying to make it work with, expenses going up. So we're working the best we can with them. But at the same time, you need to move it along. At least they're cleaning it. Yes. Yeah.
May I ask about the beach restoration at Sea Bluff and the Dawson Avenue pump station?
At Sea Bluff, the beach restoration and the pump station at Dawson?
Yep.
Yes. So both of those pump stations are, you need a bypass system. So they're both going to come down, and new ones be built. That was required by EPA standards. Those have to go up. Those are going to be tall. Bathrooms can be fit at East Avenue. That's why we're putting bathrooms there. You can't fit bathrooms at Dawson because you have to put kind of two buildings next to each other. There's just not enough room there. So that's a $22 million project, which is being paid for by clean water funds. And then that grant that I had got when I was a state rep is helping to put bathrooms and showers at the East Avenue one. So they're moving along. It's a matter of funding and EPA, and there's a lot of different agencies involved, but our engineer moves that along. Sea Bluff sand restoration, you need a very specific permit to move that sand. So I'm working with Deep because, because of the storms, it shifted even more. And we have a lot of sand at Sea Bluff, and we have less sand at beach, and we have less sand at lake. Last year we moved a lot of it to beach, so now we want to move some to lake. But we need to continue to work with Deep on that because there's very specific time frames for when you could do that.
Thank you.
We're one of the most restrictive states for moving sand. You need a permit to move sand from here to there.
I see the Masonic temples coming along.
Oh yeah, my favorite. The Masonic and it is
The
not
old
called the
Masonic.
Masonic anymore.
I know. But
It is now called the Keystone.
Keystone.
That is the new name for it, the Keystone.
Are we getting the Keystone Cops there?
No, the Keystone, which kind of like goes along with it. They were the Masons, the Freemasons.
Yeah.
So the Keystone is moving along. The Olympus group, the construction group, is in there, and they're already doing their thing. We had to get through fire code and building department and everything else. They got a little caught up with the winter, but they're in there and they're doing it. And so sometime this summer it'll be open. And then the community center, which is a huge project for us because so many departments are involved. So we had to work on the HVAC, and we had to move the bathrooms in order to be up to code compliant. So we are out to bid for construction for new bathrooms. So that is very costly, very time consuming. We bit off a little bit more than we could, not more than we could chew, just more than we wanted to chew.
Yeah.
So all the projects are moving along.
Thank
Yeah.
you for the update. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Any other new business from the council? Councilman Garthwaite?
So we've got nesting season upon us, and Sandy Point Neighborhood Association is sponsoring the next cleanup with Deep and with Audubon Society. It will be this Saturday starting at 11 a.m. if anybody is interested. We go a few hours. Everything's provided. After that date, you'll start to see the nesting enclosures go up. So you'll see the fencing and the enclosures. There'll be the bright orange ones, and then there'll be the little smaller, I don't know what the material is. It's like a wood material that they enclose totally around the piping plovers when they nest on the beach. So be on the lookout for those, and then hope you might join us this Saturday. The fencing is provided by Audubon Society. And you'll also see the no dogs signs go up on the beach. I really ask that people do obey the city ordinance, especially at this time.
All set. Any other new business from the council? Mayor, do you have anything you want to add tonight?
Oh, I want to congratulate our teams. Right? So, yeah, starting with our unified sports team, champs. Yeah. Oh, it's so so heartwarming to watch them and the excitement. And then our boys basketball. We met with Neil today to talk about a potential celebration, whether it's at the school or, I wanted to do a little mini parade down Campbell Avenue because I thought it'd be cool. We haven't had a championship in 40 years, and just some band and some cheerleaders and bring them down on a flatbed. However, they have other sports they're involved in, and And so superintendent thought maybe having something at the school, but then I thought then the families can't, I don't know. So we're talking it out, but we definitely want to do something for them and, let the community come out and celebrate. What's that? Memorial Day. Well, though, yeah. Yeah, but we want to do something special for them. Oh, it's your birthday today?
Saturday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. Any other new business? Okay. One last thing I want to add is that I know that we had some really heavy information from the finance department today. I just want to highlight that I know that Mayor, you and your staff are working tirelessly to try to find every penny and try to ease the burden on the taxpayer. And I want to assure the residents that once the city council gets the mayor's budget in a little over a month, that we're going to do the exact same work that we've done the last few years. We're going to go department by department. We're going to ask the questions. We're going to do the deliberations and find any way that we can ease the burden. So can't say that we're gonna be able to ease it completely, but I hope that everybody knows that both the mayor's office and this council are going to do everything we can. A lot of us, our homeowners are going to have to deal with that ourselves. So we know the pain that everybody's feeling. So I just want to say that we don't take this lightly. We're not happy about it, but we're going to do everything we can to do the best job that we can for everybody. All good? Thank you, everybody. Motion to adjourn. Have a great night.